Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we are going to look at VLAN implementation, where we are going to look at basic implementation of a VLAN. VLANs are split into two categories, normal range VLANs and extended range VLANs. Normal range VLANs are VLAN numbers from 1 to 1005. And you can see from here, the VLAN numbers are identified over here. Configurations are stored in the VLAN.dat in the flash memory. IDs 1002 through 1005 are reserved for legacy token ring and FDDI VLANs, automatically created and cannot be removed. Extended range VLANs are VLANs numbers from 1006 to 4096. Configurations are stored in the running configuration in the NVRAM. VLAN trunking protocol does not learn extended VLANs. Using the command show VLAN brief, it will give you a brief summation of all the VLANs that you have and the ports assigned to those VLAN. If you see here, we only have default VLAN. We haven't created any VLAN. And all of the ports in the switch are assigned to the default VLAN. VLAN details are stored in the VLAN.dat file. You create VLANs in the global configuration mode. So you go in configure terminal, you will be in the global configuration mode, and then we create a VLAN with a VLAN ID number. Specify a unique name to identify a VLAN, like a student VLAN or a faculty VLAN or sales VLAN. So how do we do that? We write name and then the name we want to assign to the VLAN. So let's take this example. We are going to create a VLAN 20 and name it student. We go into the global configuration mode, type in VLAN 20, name student, and it is like a simple conversation that you have with the switch. You are telling the switch, I want to create a VLAN with the ID 20 and I want to name it student, and the switch will do it for you. If you do not name your VLAN, the Cisco IOS will give it a default name with the 4-digit number of the VLAN. For example, if you type VLAN 20, the default name for it will be VLAN 0020. Now, while this may not seem like a big thing, but in an administration, it is always good to know and name your VLAN. It is especially important when you want to troubleshoot your VLAN. Once the VLAN is created, we can then assign it to the correct interfaces. So again, go into the global configuration mode, type the interface you want to assign to that VLAN, and then set the port to become access mode using the command switch port mode access. Now, this command is optional, but it is strongly recommended as a security best practice. Now that we have made this interface into an access interface, we have to assign it to the VLAN. So using the command switch port, access, VLAN, and then the VLAN ID that we want to assign this interface to. So this is an example. We want to assign interface fast Ethernet 0/18 to VLAN 20. So we go into the global configuration mode, interface fast Ethernet 0/18, switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN 20. Now by doing this, we have assigned this interface into VLAN 20. Once the device is assigned the VLAN, then the end device will need the IP address information for that VLAN. If you remember, all the devices within the same VLAN must be within the same subnet, so give the IP addresses appropriately. Here, student PC receives the IP address 172.17.20.22. The The same with data VLAN. We want to give the voice VLAN a name. So again, VLAN 150, name voice. In addition to assigning the data VLAN, we will also assign the voice VLAN and turn on the quality of service for the voice traffic in the interface. So here, for an example, we created the voice VLAN, and then we created the quality of service. We assigned the quality of service to that particular interface. Quality of service is beyond the scope of this course. The newer catalyst switch will automatically create the VLAN if it does not already exist when it is assigned to an interface. In this example, we created VLAN 20. Let's say we want to assign an interface to VLAN 30. So the newer catalyst switch will find out that we have not created VLAN 30 and it will create it automatically. If you want to remove a VLAN assignment, just type no switch port access VLAN under the interface where you want to reassign. Once you do that, that interface, or in this example, Fast Ethernet 018, will revert back to the default VLAN. As you can see here, the interface is no longer in the student VLAN, it has gone back up here. If you want to delete VLANs, use the no VLAN VLAN ID global configuration mode command to remove VLAN. So in this example, you type no VLAN 20 and voila, the VLAN is gone. One thing to be careful about here is that before you delete a VLAN, make sure that you reassign the ports to another VLAN. Let's say port 20 just now, it has one port under it. Reassign that port first before you delete the VLAN. To delete the entire VLAN.dat file, use the delete /VLAN.dat command. Reload the switch when deleting all VLANs. VLAN's configuration can be validated and verified using the Cisco IOS Show VLAN and Show Interfaces command options. If you type Show VLAN, it will show you all VLANs, but if you want to see specific VLANs, you can type Show VLAN name student and it will show you the information about the student VLAN. Show VLAN summary will show you the summary of all the VLANs within the switch. These are some of the commands you can use to verify. Apart from show VLAN, you can actually expand this command to have show VLAN brief, where it will display VLAN name, status, and its ports, one VLAN per line. Show VLAN ID with the VLAN ID. It will display information about the identified VLAN ID number. Show VLAN name and then the name like student, academy, whatever. It will display information about the identified VLAN name. Or show VLAN summary. It will display VLAN summary information. All of these commands are good for you to know and use when troubleshooting and also verifying your configurations. That is the end of the basic VLAN implementation lesson. After this, we will have a look at VLAN trunks. Until then, goodbye.